night. Fortunately for India, many women have actually already moved ahead. It's the men who have to catch up in terms of their social attitudes. Women have already, they don't see themselves as second-class citizens. They're willing to fight for their rights. There are many men who do support them. I want to disagree with this concept that all Indian men are monsters. That's not true. There are a lot of decent Indian men as well. But there are some Indian men who need to change their social attitudes. That's going to happen over time. It's a struggle that all of us have to take on. All of us have to fight our own battles. I can do that through my books. We can do that, Mr. Kakkar can do that through his books. Ms. Butalia can do that through her articles. You can do that in your own personal atmosphere. That idiotic uncle who says stupid things about women, you shouldn't ignore him. You should argue with him, right? Or women in your family. Sadly, there are some women themselves who think badly. You should argue with them. If this argument takes place in every household, that's how India will change. And you have to realize that when you're doing this, you're doing your duty towards your country, not just to the women in your household.
I think the nice thing is that those of you who are close to my age, if you imagine a hall like this 20 years ago, you wouldn't have got two quite well-known established men sitting on the stage and saying these things about women. And that's a real indicator of change, because you wouldn't have got that.
I will add one thing to it. I think that men need to change their attitudes. People don't change their attitudes once you are grown up. So actually women need to change their attitude towards their male children. That is very important.
Yeah, they have to raise better male children.
That is where the attitude change will happen, and not just the men. So it is really both together which will do that.
I think we have time for one more round of questions.
Hello.
I think, let me just check with the organizers. Do we have... Yeah, is it
Hello.
quarter past?
It's quarter past.
It is quarter past 3.
I have a question, a very straight question to both Sudhir sir and Amish sir. I just want to ask, is Hindu mythology really sexist? Because somehow throughout the discussion, I couldn't find something which could substantiate this subject. Like, I couldn't find it.
That'll be our last question.
For me, a very quick answer. If you mean sexist in today's discourse, yes, because men have composed the myths about women and their views of women, that it is a different sex, it's not even the same species.
So do you think it is sexist?
Pardon?
Do you think it is sexist? Hindu mythology is sexist?
From today's contemporary society's views, yes.
That's
Okay,
fine.
my view is that there are interpretations that are sexist. There are interpretations that support women's empowerment. It's up to you what you want to see.
Do we need to close, Archana? Have we got time or not? No? Okay, I'm sorry. There's still lots of questions. We will have to close. We did try to give more time, but really sorry. Thank you for being such a fantastic audience.
And thank you
Actually,
for
I'd
being
like
moderating.
to interrupt. We do have time for probably 2 or 3 more questions if you'd like to continue.
Okay, 2 or 3 more. Yes, please. This lady who's been raising her hand for a long time. Sorry, I can't take you. Now you're a recent entrant. You know the one there? Yeah, that's it. And then there's that lady on the other side. Yeah, who's raising her hand? And that's it. We'll have to stop then.
Yeah, hi. My thought comes from Mr. Sudhir Kakkar's saying that it'll be a big step forward when a girl child in India can be named Draupadi. Okay, my question is, why do we have a negative connotation with the name Swaha? It's just Agni Dev's wife's name. My husband comes from Orissa, and I've seen men being named Duryodhan. So why can't we have a woman being named Swaha? That's my question.
Okay, and that question, please, over there. That lady who's raising her hand. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm happy that this discussion is happening, but in a discussion which is based on Hinduism, I'm surprised that there's no talk about caste. And we need to talk about women and men not as if they are two categories against each other. It's much more complex. Which women are celebrated when? Which women are demonized when? Can we imagine, as writers, can we imagine a fiction today that tells a different story about Shurpanakha? How is it justified that violence against her, how was it justified just because she happened to be an articulate young woman who liked to be more articulate about her desires and her feelings? She was given violence in return. She was a woman of a tribal identity, who had never been in structures of monogamy. So I'm saying that there are women like Durga who have been celebrated as goddesses because, yes, again, you make them kill people like Mahishasur. By the way, the Asur community in Jharkhand is a still existing community who are constantly demonized. So it is this, there is this Brahmanism also which goes on continuously with the sexism. So when are we going to talk about these other structures that accompany patriarchy and then constantly demonize so many groups?
Thank you.
You know, interestingly, if you look in the Vedas, you'll find that there are stories and hymns which actually speak of Asurs as gods as well, as amongst the gods. It's interesting if you see it from that perspective. And even on Shurpanakha, there are interpretations. You know, there is a popular interpretation that you spoke of. There are also interpretations which are pro-Shurpanakha. I have my own interpretation of Shurpanakha's story as well, and inshallah I'll write that someday. As far as the caste system is concerned, the thought that I want to leave with you is, okay, let's approach it from the perspective of science, because that is more, you know, clear, rather than sociology or history, which are open to interpretations. There was a project that was taken up recently, a study on on the genetic background of Indians, called the Genome Project, which showed that actually till the 1st or 2nd century AD, there was a lot of genetic intermixing amongst Indians. Genetic groups became rigid only after the 2nd century. The obvious interpretation is caste groups became rigid only after the 2nd century AD, or thereabouts, maybe 100, 200 years idhar-udhar. And which supports many of the interpretations that you can make from our really ancient scriptures. The fact that Asurs or lower castes are supposed to be downtrodden did not really exist earlier. One of the greatest Maharishis in ancient times, Maharishi Satyakam, was the son of a Dalit prostitute. The Valmiki Ramayana, which is the original Ramayana, which is called the Adi Kavya, the first poem. It was written by Maharishi Valmiki, who wasn't born a Brahmin. I'm sure you know that. He was actually born a lower caste. Even today, there's a caste called Valmiki in the north, which is a lower caste, sadly. So the point of that this caste system became rigid is a relatively recent phenomenon, and my submission is that all of us need to fight the caste system the way it exists today, because it is a corruption of the original system. It wasn't supposed to be so rigid. It wasn't that if you were born a Brahmin, you have to be a Brahmin. Anyone could become a great intellectual regardless of his birth. And these stories and these interpretations do exist. And like I said, I hope to bring out many of these interpretations in my future books as well.
Okay. I think I'll club both the questions together of the Draupadi, Swaha, Shurpanakha. What is common? Why are girls not named Shurpanakha, for instance, or Draupadi? What is common between the two? Common between the two is not the caste here, of course. One can be, you can say it's the tribal, we don't know if it was or not, which Draupadi is not. Both common is some kind of sexual misconduct. Draupadi with 5 husbands.
Sorry, but if I may just correct. By the way, by some interpretation, Shurpanakha was not really a tribal because she was the daughter of Vishravas, who was actually a Brahmin.
Right,
so,
yeah.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
Shurpanakha is actually not a tribal. She's a Brahmin, by the way. Sorry.
So Shurpanakha is not because she is a woman who expresses her sexual desire openly and very, very powerfully. And that is something which a male cannot take. And that is why you have the nose cutting, which is actually, which we know a clitoridectomy. It is a disguised clitoridectomy from down to up, take off her desire. So you can never have that. Draupadi is a similar kind of a thing. So any woman who is associated with open sexual wishes and desires has a problem, and Hindu mythology is sexist only in that particular way.
Okay, so I'll do my closing line again. Thank you both. Thank you all for this really interesting discussion. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Amish, Sudhir and Urvashi for such an insightful session. Both Amish and Sudhir will be signing books outside. Please don't crowd. There's a little bit of a line outside, so you'll have to be a little more organized. Thank you.